Hey there. Today, we're getting into something that's, well, it's super personal for me, and I have a feeling it might be for a lot of you too. We're talking about the battle against the mess in our rooms. We're going to look at how to take that chaos and turn it into a space that actually brings you some genuine peace and clarity.
And I am not kidding. This quote feels like it was pulled directly from my diary. I used to say my room was just a curated collection of chaos, but if I'm being honest, I was drowning in it. So if you've ever looked around your room and felt like a background character in your own messy life, then yeah, you're in the right place. This isn't about judgment. It's about figuring out how we even got here.
Okay, so let's get into it. The first step is to really understand the real problem. Because the mess, it isn't just about the stuff on your floor. It's what you could call an environment trap. And it has this huge, invisible impact on your mind. You know that little voice in your head that loves to tell you you're lazy or undisciplined? Yeah, that's what we think the problem is. But the real issue isn't some deep character flaw. It's a lack of clarity. Your environment has literally become a track. That messy space creates this constant low-grade mental friction that just completely kills your productivity.
And here's why that friction is so powerful. A cluttered room is basically a playground for your monkey brain. You know, that impulsive, instinct-driven part of you that just wants what it wants now. Your room becomes this giant visual to-do list of failures, and every item is just screaming for your attention. It's no wonder it's impossible to find any peace or focus in there.
So, how in the world do we escape this trap? Well, the good news is you don't have to wait for some magical bolt of inspiration to strike you down. The way out starts with one single, tiny step. This idea is called the do something principle, and trust me, it's a total game changer. See, most of us have it completely backwards. We think we need to feel motivated before we can do something. But the truth is, taking action, any action, is what actually creates the feeling of motivation. And starting is so much easier than you think. Don't, I repeat, do not look at the whole disaster zone. That is a recipe for overwhelm. Just do one of these things. Just one. Pick a tiny, non-threatening task like just gathering up the mugs and putting them in the sink. The second you cross that one thing off your mental list, you build momentum. And just like that, you've kick-started this amazing cycle of productivity.
All right, so you've got a little bit of momentum going. What's next? Well, the next stage is to actually redesign your space so it stops fighting against you and starts working for you.
This brings us to a really powerful principle from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. If your room is a mess, it's probably because you've unintentionally designed it to be really, really easy to be messy. We just need to flip that script.
And we flip the script by adding what's called friction. Friction is just anything that makes a bad habit a little bit harder to do. We all have the chair, right? The one that's not really a chair anymore, it's a mountain of clothes. Get it out of the room. If you doom scroll on your phone in bed for an hour every night, start charging it in the kitchen. A simple change like this, seriously, can cut down on those impulsive behaviors by as much as 50% almost overnight.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but what about that invisible gravity that just keeps you glued to the couch? You know what you should be doing, but you just can't move. How do you beat that powerful force of procrastination?
You use the 5-second rule, and it is beautifully, almost ridiculously simple. The second you have an instinct to act on a goal, you just count down, out loud or in your head, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you hit 1, you physically move. That's it. No thinking, just moving.
What this does is actually pretty genius. It's a little psychological trick. The countdown acts like a launch sequence for your brain, and it short-circuits its ability to talk you out of it. It interrupts that whole habit of hesitating and doubting yourself, and it pushes you into action before that resistance can even get its shoes on.
Okay, so you started cleaning, and you've got a tool to beat resistance. But how do you keep the room clean? How do you make this last without burning through all your willpower every single day? The secret is to build systems. The first system is something called habit stacking. The idea is to simply link a new habit you want to form, like tidying up, to an existing habit that you already do without even thinking about it.
So the formula is simple. After I current habit, I will new habit. For example, your new rule could be, after I brush my teeth, I will put 5 items of clothing away. Your brain already has this super strong pathway for brushing your teeth. You're just adding a tiny little detour to it until that becomes automatic too.
The second system is actually kind of fun. It's called temptation bundling. This is where you basically bribe yourself into doing chores by pairing something you need to do with something you want to do. For example, maybe you only let yourself listen to your absolute favorite podcast while you're cleaning up. All of a sudden, the chore doesn't feel like a chore anymore. It feels like a reward.
And that brings us to the most important part of this whole journey. Because let's be real, this was never just about having a clean room, was it? This is about who you are becoming in the process.
Let's be honest with ourselves. Current you just wants comfort. It wants to stay in the familiar mess because it's easy. But future you, the person you actually want to be, doesn't want to wake up feeling like they're in a battle zone. That person wants peace, they want order, they want to feel admirable.
I want you to remember this because it's so powerful. Every single time you choose to put one thing away, you are casting a vote for that future self. You're proving to yourself, one small action at a time, that you are the kind of person who lives in an ordered, peaceful space.
At the end of the day, this whole process isn't about becoming some brand new person you don't recognize. It's about uncovering the organized, focused person who's just buried under all the clutter. It's about finding that version of you that got a little bit lost along the way.
So that's it. This isn't about some massive, life-changing overhaul that has to happen overnight. It's about one small choice, then another, and then another. Your journey from chaos to clarity, it starts right now with one tiny step. So, go clean your room. The only question is, what's the first thing you're going to pick up?